let's hear what her summary of the issues, and then we'll look at them.
Morgan here in Davos, Switzerland, and here's your Day 4 recap of how they are implementing the Great Reset agenda all across the globe. Now, first with climate change, this is a $1 billion industry that we are talking about. And with this, we asked them, how are they going to implement that carbon tax on civilians worldwide? And I didn't get many answers. Next, they are combating against disinformation by having corporations like CNBC and the Wall Street Journal present, along with hosting a panel with Brian Stelter on misinformation. Make that make sense. Also, under the guise of food insecurity and stability, they are pushing more non-meat options, including insects, and research on that to come. Also, on top of all of these things, with the 2030 agenda, they are predicting that there will be global cyber attacks across the globe in the next 2 years. And also that the COVID pandemic is not over, and there could be more outbreaks coming very soon. Now, what we have learned while being here at the World Economic Forum is no matter where you are in the country, the WEF has infiltrated every single civilian, even in America.
So let's have a look at this battle for the mind.
But then you start to worry that your boss will notice your amorous feelings when she checks your brain activity and shift your attention back to the present. You breathe a sigh of relief when the email she sends you later that day congratulates you on your brain metrics from the past quarter, which have earned you another performance bonus. You head home jamming to the music, with your work-issued brain-sensing earbuds still in. When you arrive at work the next day, a somber cloud has fallen over the office. Along with emails, text messages, and GPS location data, the government has subpoenaed employees' brainwave data from the past year. They have compelling evidence that one of your coworkers has committed massive wire fraud. Now, they're looking for his co-conspirators. You discover they are looking for synchronized brain activity between your coworker and the people he has been working with. While you know you're innocent of any crime, you've been secretly working with him on a new startup venture. Shaking, you remove your earbuds.
You may be surprised to learn that it's a future that has already arrived. Everything in that video that you just saw is based on technology that is already here today. We're not talking about implanted devices of the future. I'm talking about wearable devices that are like Fitbits for your brain. We can pick up and decode faces that you're seeing in your mind. Simple shapes, numbers, your PIN number to your bank account. It's not just your brain activity here that we can pick up. We can also pick up your brain activity in different places, like as your neurons fire from your brain down your arm and send signals to your hand to tell you how to type, move. All of that can be decoded through electromyography, and that's what you're seeing here is a device now in the form of a simple wearable watch that can pick up that activity. And one of the pivotal acquisitions of the field, Meta acquired this company, Control Labs, in 2019, because major tech companies are investing in helping to make these devices universally applicable as the way in which we interact with the rest of our technology.
What is it like to feel like pushing a button without actually pushing it? And that could be as simple as, hey, I just want to move this cursor up or move it left. Constant conversation with the machine.
This new form of control, it requires us to build an interface that adapts to you and your environment.
While we can't literally decode complex thought just yet, there's a lot that we can already decode that's quite relevant for the workplace environment. A simple wearable hat that has embedded electrode sensors that would pick up brainwave activity and give a score between 1 to 5 to help the employer and the employee know what stage of alertness the person was experiencing and whether or not they were starting to fall asleep. Most people are very comfortable with at least some forms of human quantification. In fact, it's become so widespread that most people feel like there's not that much to worry about when it comes to doing something like monitoring your heart rate. But it turns out that that kind of technology in the workplace, particularly when it's used to monitor productivity of employees, where they're moving throughout the factory floor, whether or not they're taking breaks or unscheduled breaks, is the kind of thing that employees resist, unionize against, rise up against, and undermines morale. What we've seen consistently is companies from Amazon to Tesco to Walmart and others have introduced what is considered to be bossware or surveillance technology that employees really don't like it, even if it makes their lives better. Okay, well, if you don't like your job, just quit. But what if there's nowhere to go? What if everywhere has ubiquitous monitoring? In fact, during the pandemic, what we found was that 80% of companies admitted that they use at least some forms of so-called bossware technology to monitor the productivity of their employees. The newest way to monitor attention is through a device like this one. These are ear pods that are launching later this year. These ear pods, much like the video you watched earlier, are ear pods that can pick up brainwave activity and tell whether or not a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering. Okay, well, you might think, fine, but even if we can tell whether a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering, you can't tell what they're paying attention to. You would be wrong. It turns out that you can not only tell whether a person is paying attention or their mind is wandering, but you can discriminate between the kinds of things that they're paying attention to. Whether they're doing something like central tasks, like programming, peripheral tasks, like writing documentation, or unrelated tasks, like surfing social media or online browsing. When you combine brainwave activity together with other forms of software and surveillance technology, the power becomes quite precise.
And how do you decode somebody's PIN number? You flash a series of numbers and see how their brain reacts to them?
So you have recognition memory signals that are preconscious and subconscious, and this is part of why it's been used, for example, by governments to interrogate criminals. Do you recognize this potential co-conspirator? Do you recognize this murder weapon? Those preconscious signals, like what we call the P300 wave or the N400 wave, these are before you even consciously process information, so you could prime it with a number and then see if a person recognizes it, and you can do it without them realizing that that's what you're doing.
So will all of our passwords be cracked first by this or quantum computing? Hard to tell. All right.
I think we're moving past passwords pretty quickly.
All right, we're talking about Davos, so let them tell us something more.
Here at WEF, I believe we're discussing, there's a lot of discussion about what the new world order will be. I hope this time round, once we're building this new world order.
When I'm looking at this, it's a grid infrastructure.
Yeah, so basically the way it works is it's 170 kilometers long, 200 meters wide, 500 meters high.
There's virtually no traffic. You can go to different places very efficiently without using cars. There are no cars.
Not one single car?
It's going to be different types of transportation.
It is basically biological chip that it is in the tablet, and once you take the tablet and dissolves into your stomach, sends a signal that you took the tablet. So imagine the applications of that, compliance, the insurance companies to know that the medicines that patients should take, they do take them.
Odds, in my view, are better than 50-50 that there will be a COVID scale problem within the next 15 years.
Of the land and creating the droughts and melting the ice and raising the sea level and causing these waves of climate refugees predicted to reach 1 billion in this century. Look at the xenophobia and political authoritarian trends that have come from just a few million refugees. What about 1 billion? We would lose our capacity for self-governance on this world. We have to act.